On this edition of Southern Newsweek, a scrub and tussock fire near Middlemarch covers nearly 5,000 hectares. A touring American independent folk band bring their act to Dunedin. And the grave of an early settler who was also a Polish prince is officially consecrated. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Firefighters attending a blaze near Middlemarch last weekend have described the racing scrub and tussock fire as one of the fastest they've ever seen. Starting last Saturday morning, the blaze eventually covered nearly 5,000 hectares and has seriously compromised Dunedin's main water supply.
An aerial view showing the aftermath of this last weekend's nearly 5,000 hectare scrub fire near Middlemarch, inland from Dunedin. Hot windy conditions saw the blaze burning through tussock and scrubland and leaping waterways at an incredible speed.
The fire at its peak was advancing around 1.5 kilometres an hour. That's very fast. So in other words, the fire was travelling over 1.5 k's every hour. So that meant that we couldn't get in front of the fire with the helicopters or ground crews for a number of reasons, mainly because of the speed of the fire and the smoke didn't allow us to get to the head of it.
The fire began on Saturday morning in the Te Papanui Conservation Park near Old Dunstan Road, spreading across land owned by the Dunedin City Council and threatening several buildings and a wind farm.
Over the day we got 11 helicopters in the air and 4 ground crews working yesterday, and we worked them right up till dark. I'm pleased to say that we managed to save one house and prevent damage to the Meridian wind farm.
Heavy rain on Sunday helped put the fire out, but the blaze has compromised Dunedin's main water supply. Water from the deep stream catchment is currently contaminated by ash, as well as a small amount of fire suppressant chemicals. This sees about 3/4 of the city's main water supply out of action.
The city's primary source of water is, however, the deep stream catchment. And this is out of action as a result of the fire this weekend. How long for will depend on the condition of the water supply and the options that are available to us to make it safe again, and those will be worked through in the coming weeks. Dunedin has multiple sources of water, of course, but Deep Stream and Deep Creek are strategically important to us because they alone can supply all suburbs in the city.
Dunedin residents are being asked to conserve water while the situation is assessed.
We are still asking residents to voluntarily conserve water while we assess the implications for supply in the medium term. At this stage, it seems likely those voluntary restrictions will remain in place over the summer. We may have to consider more formal restrictions based on the weather and water use over the coming months.
The cause of the fire remains unknown. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Touring American independent folk band Sneaky Bones played in Dunedin this weekend as part of a nationwide New Zealand tour. The band's singer visited Dunedin and a few other centres around Aotearoa last year and liked it so much he's brought the band back this year.
Taking time to play tourist in the Octagon today, American folk band Sneaky Bones having a breather before heading to their first New Zealand show in Invercargill.
I think it's going to be nice. In Dunedin we're playing with a cool band, the Western Chain. I don't know if you heard of them. But yeah, it's full on, full band, drum, bass, electric guitar, and then we also have, we all play a lot of different instruments, which is really fun. I play bass and Austin plays guitar, and Marshall plays keys and mandolin, and so we kind of have a little bit of we really kind of capture the sound that's on this new record. So it'll be anywhere from full electric to kind of a little stripped down, more like acoustic folky thing.
Frontman Matthew Bean played a bunch of shows across New Zealand in 2018. Liking the experience so much, he's brought his bandmates along for the ride this year.
I had some nice shows, met great people, and really loved getting around the country, and a lot of got to experience some of the music coming out of New Zealand as well, and was pretty stoked on that.
Drummer Marshall Wildman is the latest of the trio to arrive in the country and says he's looking forward to seeing New Zealand, but it's early days.
Great. I've been here like 20 hours, but it's been good. Yeah, it's really nice. Beautiful country. We set up yesterday. I was pretty jet lagged, but we got some practice in, was nice. And then we did a little radio thing this morning and sang some harmonies.
Second guitarist and bass player Austin Webb has known frontman Matthew Bean since their days together in college and says the two reconnected a couple of years ago. This lineup has just finished touring Europe and Webb says it was a blast.
It's great. It was awesome. It was a very good time, really great crowds, good shows, good people all around.
Sneaky Bones play at the Southlands Musicians Club in Invercargill tonight, Gin and Raspberry in Wanaka on Thursday, Oamaru's Grain Store Gallery on Friday, and then in Dunedin at Dogwood Two Tails on Saturday. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A ceremony at Dunedin's Southern Cemetery has recognised the changes of fortune for an early Dunedin settler, who was once a Polish prince. The recently restored grave of the Polish prince who died in 1864 has now been officially consecrated by Dunedin's Catholic bishop.
Now officially consecrated after yesterday's visit from the Dunedin Catholic bishop. The grave in Dunedin's Southern Cemetery of Alois Constant Lubecki has been recently restored in the memory of the Polish prince who fled his homeland following a series of battles against neighbouring Russia nearly 200 years ago.
The family had many large estates in the east of Poland. In 1830 he was an officer in the Polish army, and with his anti-Russian stance became embroiled in the uprising, but unfortunately was defeated and went into exile.
Paul Kumik of Polish Heritage Otago says Prince Lubecki eventually made his way to Dunedin in 1863, living in a humble cottage near what is now the university.
Now, I believe it's on the corner of George and Union Street was the building, and the house they was called Gough Cottage. And on the gate was branded the name Quadno, which derived from one of the successful battles that he fought against the Tsarist army.
Prince Lubecki never lived to see Poland gain independence from Tsarist rule, as he died in Dunedin the year after he arrived here.
In 1918, after nearly, so many years, nearly 200 years, regained its independence, and here we've got in Dunedin a person who was fighting for free Poland.
However, Polish independence was short-lived, with the invasion by Nazi Germany 21 years later, and then becoming part of the Soviet bloc until just 30 years ago. Nevertheless, the restored and blessed grave in Dunedin serves as a record of the many Polish people who immigrated to southern New Zealand.
Today is a very important day of acknowledging another aspect of Polish heritage of Otago and Southland.
The restoration to Prince Lubecki's grave included repairs to the headstone, which was broken some time ago. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A temporary liquor ban around Dunedin's Forsyth Bar Stadium can now be reactivated whenever it is deemed necessary. City councillors voted to approve a temporary ban, which can be implemented by a request from either the police, Dunedin venues staff or the organisers of public events.
Dunedin City Council getting ready to vote on having a temporary liquor ban around the Forsyth Bar Stadium, which can be reactivated whenever it's deemed necessary. Because the amount of crime and disorder around the stadium doesn't meet the threshold by law to justify a permanent liquor ban, the council have had to impose temporary liquor bans for one-off major events. And each temporary ban required a lot of paperwork, consideration by councillors and public notification. The new reactivatable liquor ban is intended to streamline the process for events over 10,000 people, as well as the smaller OUSA events such as the Toga Party.
As drafted, the intention of staff is that this wouldn't ever be imposed without the request of either the police, DVML or the event organiser, regardless of who was organising the event and how many attendees there were?
The idea was, or the purpose of it was, if the event was expected to host more than 10,000 patrons or the OUSA arranged events, and the reason that OUSA arranged events was inserted was because they have asked for them when they've only had about 4,500 for orientation
Mayor Aaron Hawkins is unsure if the legality of the new ban would still work if the stadium changed name, but he says he's happy for that issue to be dealt with in the future.
Forsyth Bar don't aim the naming rights to the venue in perpetuity, so were the naming rights sponsored to be different, would that make this null and void? That might be a legal question, or is it something we're better off revisiting at that point?
It would be dealt with at the review of the bylaw, and it's Dunedin Venues Limited, Management Limited, that we've got named in the report. Not Forsyth Bar Stadium, but the stadium is the focal point.
Oh, it says Forsyth Bar Stadium in the resolution, but that's fine, we can deal with it subsequently.
Councillor Doug Hall confirmed the liquor ban around the stadium is different from the permanent liquor ban in central Dunedin.
There's two areas. There's the area around the stadium and the area that covers right up to View Street in that area. So these two separate areas, or they both automatically click in together?
The area that takes from the central city up to View Street is the permanent liquor ban. The second area around Forsyth Bar Stadium is only for temporary bans.
Examples of likely temporary liquor bans include the upcoming Elton John, Queen and 660 concerts at the stadium, as well as OUSA's Orientation Week early next year. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, a Dunedin film is picked for a prestigious film festival, and a Wanaka company says they can build modular houses in under a week. So see you after the break. Welcome back. The latest work from Dunedin filmmaker and musician Bill Morris has been picked to be shown at a prestigious film festival. The movie Central to the Soul tracks the development of Central Otago from laid-back farming area to tourism hotspot.
Bringing southern stories to the big screen.
Central to the Soul is a film about the importance of community and arts in the community set in Central Otago. So it follows artists touring throughout Central Otago throughout the year, performing at small venues.
Dunedin film director Bill Morris has worked with the city's acclaimed Natural History Unit amongst a host of other high-end filming contracts. His career to date has seen him travelling internationally to document wildlife and people overseas, but this project has him on home turf.
Telling your own stories is always a far more profound experience than telling overseas stories. It feels more real and it feels more satisfying when you get to show the end product to the people that you made the film about and with and for, which is often an experience you don't really get working overseas.
Central to the Soul is an hour-long feature film which Morris says took about a year to film, following 12 months of arts events and the changing seasons in Central Otago. With this movie, Bill Morris worked with Stephen Downes, who's worked with Duncan Sakis on Scarfies and Out of the Blue. Morris says the movie has already attracted accolades.
It premiered at the Dock Edge Festival back in June, and we had a really great response there. So now we're sort of at the stage of bringing the film out into the communities where it's going to be showing. It has shown in Christchurch, sold out a weekend or a 3-day run up there, so we put on another one the following weekend.
Central to the Soul is due to be screened in Arrowtown and Alexandra later this month, and at Dunedin's Metro Cinema in early December. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Wanaka-based company is launching a modular building system which will allow houses to be constructed in under a week. The company Nautilus Modular says it can produce buildings using interchangeable modules and promises an assembly which is faster and more efficient than other construction methods.
Opening the door to a new way of building a house. The critical eye of the media were invited in for a look at Wanaka today. Peter Marshall, who is also the co-founder of EFTPOS NZ, says the mass production of modular house parts by his company Nautilus Modular will create cheaper housing for the masses.
Basically what happened years ago, my father got a plan out of Popular Mechanics and then he built a boat, and then we started building boats on moulds. Because when boats came off moulds, boats became accessible to the wider public, and that is the fact. Until that happened, boating was an elitist game. We're changing that for housing as well.
He says building kit-set houses in a factory not only provides a solution to the nationwide housing shortage, but also reduces waste material and the ecological impact of a construction site.
Sustainable. Now listen, we all look at the structure of a building site. We all look at skip after skip of waste going out to the landfills. It's a commentary always made in the marketplace. A large proportion of our landfill has been filled up with building waste.
The factory-made modules will be assembled on site and covered with weatherproofing materials and cladding, with most buildings being livable within 1 to 3 days. Thanks to overseas innovations, the homes can perform with similar heating efficiency as a passive house.
Some awesome German technology, credit to the Germans here. It's a balanced air system, because when you've got a building that is tight as we have made it, you have to bring air in and out and balance the air out. So we've done the air quality in here as well.
Nautilus Modular has just one mould in its Wanaka testing plant, and it can produce modules for a one-bedroom house every 10 days. Their buildings are priced in the lower to middle range of the market, with per metre costs being a little over a third of traditional building costs. In Wanaka, the South Today.
The signing of the armistice was commemorated this week, 101 years since it concluded the First World War. Events were held throughout the country, including many centres around the south.
At the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th month, the guns of World War I were silenced. They spoke again today, 101 years later, remembering those who gave their lives between 1914 and 1918.
We come together today to remember, those who have served, those who have fallen, to remember families and loved ones as well, those who have lost so much that we might gain.
Government figures say just under 10% of the population of 1.1 million served overseas, of which more than 18,000 died, with 40,000 hospitalisations due to injury or illness.
It can be quite traumatic. It can be difficult sometimes for soldiers when they come home to even fit in back at home. So, the more support that we can give them, the better.
The long-reaching effects of post-traumatic stress disorder were a topic at the Dunedin service.
A chaplain is very much involved in pastoral care for the troops, and so that's helping with some of the things that we've acknowledged today, some of those problems that families face or that the soldiers, sailors and airmen face themselves. And so it really is about being able to support our troops both abroad, also at home and after they've served as well.
The crowd at Dunedin's cenotaph were fewer in numbers than last year's event to remember the Great War on the 100th anniversary of the signing of the armistice. Historic figures say nearly every New Zealand family was affected by the impact of the war, and today they were remembered again. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, a 7-year-old girl successfully campaigns to wear shorts to school, and models of spear-wielding warriors are unveiled to the public, so stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. She may only be 7 years old, but Kaylee Dryden has already proven she's not one to skirt around the big issues. The St Francis Xavier school pupil got sick of wearing her pinafore to school each day, so took some affirmative action.
St Francis Xavier school pupil Kaylee Dryden modelling the shorts she's now allowed to wear.
So I wanted to wear boys' shorts. I wanted to wear shorts because pinafores were too itchy, and I wanted to be free.
She wanted the option to wear shorts like these in summer, so decided to take her problem right to the top, writing to the school's Board of Trustees, asking if she could wear shorts and a t-shirt in summer. Principal Carmel Jolly says the board considered Kaylee's proposal and agreed it would be okay.
So as a board we considered her proposal and we thought that sounds great, why not? And so we decided that the boys currently wear shorts, and so we've just added the option the girls can wear shorts in terms 1 and 4, just like the boys.
In a statement, Board Chairman Ryan Premius said the school encourages leadership skills, freedom of thought and adaptability where possible. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Open the wrong door at Frank Vasani's house and you're likely to find a menacing spear-wielding warrior behind it. For the past 25 years, Vasani has created detailed life-size models of tribal warriors from around the world and is unleashing them on an unsuspecting public.
A one-of-a-kind group of realistic models.
It's the biggest collection in the world of life-size warriors. And basically what I'm doing is classifying the human race as a tribal people of the 1800s.
Following an accident many years ago, Frank Vasani turned model maker, sparking a passion which continues more than 2 decades later.
Basically I've got 54 tribal warriors. It's taken me 25 years to make them. They've got the all original weapons and armour.
He started building the models after travelling to the jungles of Borneo in 1987. And Vasani says he's far from done, aiming to at least double his personal army of international warriors.
So that's my goal, is to get as many as I can. So I've got 54 now and just keep making more. It's an ongoing exhibit basically. It grows every year.
The torsos are made from shop mannequins and he's handmade the heads from clay, with the arms and legs being made with jib-stopping plaster. He says it takes more than a month to create some of the figures.
Fair bit of work. Some of the full body guys like this, 5-6 weeks sort of to do them, sort of thing. It takes a bit of time to do the heads and things like that.
He says the displays can be educational, particularly for young school pupils who can see the size and shape of the warriors and learn about their culture and history. And although he admits it's fun, Vasani says it's more than playtime for him.
I've worked hard, put it this way. I've worked pretty hard over the years, 25 years to get it to that level, where you can sort of covering as much as I can and then just keep working.
The models have temporarily escaped his home and are on public display at an empty Dunedin shop in Princess Street for the summer. In Dunedin, the South Today.
John Swan and co-owner Jeanette Armstrong is sick of people who urinate, vomit, smash bottles and commit vandalism in her Bath Street car park at the back of the Moray Place shop each weekend. Not even CCTV cameras and a motion-triggered light deter up to 30 people a weekend defiling her car park, many of whom she's caught on camera. And a warning, this is a story about bodily functions, so viewer discretion is advised.
It's footage like this and the Monday morning clean-up that John Swan and co-owner Jeanette Armstrong is completely sick of.
Our car park is like the public urinal on a Friday and Saturday night. People come down here, they're peeing in the gardens, they're being sick in the gardens, they're writing on the walls a wee bit.
The car park is one of the entrances to the business, and every Monday morning staff have to pick up broken glass and clean up vomit and urine. She says the camera captures most of the weekend's events.
And really, some nights, there's up to 30 people in here. So on the camera you can actually see all the wet patches all the way through. So luckily we live in Dunedin and we get a bit of liquid sunshine that washes it down every now and again, but it's just pretty disgusting, really.
Armstrong is stunned that people still continue to behave this way despite the deterrents already in place, and is planning another way to put a dampener on people's nocturnal activities.
So our plan is that we will we're going to put up a sprinkler system that sprays our car park, during the hours that we aren't using it. There'll be some mist spraying going on from a watering system, and that'll just keep it all, clear. And because my customers, they walk into this car park. This is one of our entrances to our business.
The sensor-activated sprinkler system in the car park will operate between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. and will spray water whenever it's triggered, which she's completely unapologetic about.
If you're in there peeing in my car park when the water system goes off, well, sorry team, it's only water. It's not offensive, but it is better for our image and keeping our car park clean.
Jeanette Armstrong says some CCTV footage has been provided to police, as urinating in public places is a criminal offence. And she's also spoken to the Dunedin City Council about the issue and says they should be doing something about it. In a statement, the council says while it's an offence to dump rubbish on private land without the owner's consent, the council needs positive proof of dumping, so it can be difficult to enforce in cases like Armstrongs. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great weekend. Ka kite anō.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.